Ah, hi. Camera's so far away. Finally back doing the final build of something I should have done a long time ago. I say that every time with everything I build. Procrastination. So today's build, we are finishing the 4-ton log splitter slash forge press. I am building it in such a way that you can turn it back into a log splitter, so it's not something that you'll use for only one job. Stay tuned. Like in the end, I talk about the log splitter itself, the safety functions, why I didn't go vertical, good reasons for it. You'll see at the end. Other thing is the parts I used, I didn't buy anything, which you'll hear in the end. It's just stuff I had laying around. I'm fortunate enough to have a small little MIG welder that sucks, but it gets the job done. Another thing is, you'll see the part where I do the button and the switch, or the switch button thing and the handle on it. It's way better than a foot switch, honestly. I mean, there's no need for me to have a foot switch because I'm not going to use big billets of Damascus this big that I have to use 2 hands to get it on there. No. What I have there works great. Like, it is the easiest. I don't know why I didn't think about it earlier. I didn't change anything to the machine. It is still the way it is. I just moved a few things. That's it. Okay. So do me one favor. It's all I ask. If you know someone that needs something like this because of hand problems, hammering problems because of their hands and their elbows and such, or shoulder or whatever, show them this video. This will help people that has issues. Okay, on to the video. Let's go build a press. Okay, see ya. So as you guys remember, that's what it looked like. So all I did is I'm taking off these guards, which is held on by teeny tiny little screws. Just took both guards off, both sides, and take part of the ram off, which is that right there. It's 4 bolts, 2 on each side, and this is where we're at right now. So here is what I'm going to try and fix on this thing. See this? I got this in there because this whole thing just drops down. What I'm going to try and fix is the distance here. I'm going to try and shim it. I'm going to put shims in there and then weld on a brace back here and maybe one in the middle here. Then that should stop it from falling down and giving it less wiggle room. So let's get to her. So use some of these bandsaw blades as shims. One in there, and I don't know if you can see, but that spacing is pretty good. Nice and tight. Not too tight so I can still slide freely, but I'm gonna weld in a brace. Change the exposure a bit, there we are. So my old way of operating this is pressing the button down and then using my elbow by pressing down on the lever like such. Okay, so this is how far we have gotten. This is still sliding freely. And what I want to keep on this thing is the log splitting function. I want this thing to still be a log splitter, so this is the one part I will do most of the work on. Because what I want to try and do is I want to drop this pipe down a little bit and extend it up to here. Because my biggest issue with this thing is every time I squish the metal, the ram part used to go either up or off to the side, so I could never get a consistent squeeze. Well, there was, as you saw, I did do Damascus with it. Wow. Wow. Holy crap. But I want to turn this thing into a proper one right now. So this comes off still, and it is still a log splitter as it is right now. It's still a log splitter. Here is the old insert. This does not fit in there anymore, which is fine, because the old die holder is that exact width. So I am gonna weld my old die holder onto that, and that should be the same as that. Sounds good. And then I need to add all the bits and bobs on here so I can slide my dies into it and work on this part. It's so nice saying it. Bad part comes in, I have to do it. Let me tell you one thing. This, when I built this thing the first time, this is probably the hardest work I had to do. I was taking a round pipe and turning it into a triangle. Now, it would have been probably 100 times easier if I had some, you know, square tube, cut it in half, you know, make a triangle, bend them in and just weld a plate on, but I don't have that. I only have tube. This is 6 mil, 1/4 inch, I think. Yeah, 6 mil, which is around 1/4 inch. Yep, 1/4 inch. So, cut that off, and I need to build a new one, because I want this down here somewhere. Ish. This is gonna look something like something out of a Mad Max movie when I'm done. Maybe I can extend it. No. I'm gonna have to cut a whole new tube. Yay! But okay, let's get to her. If at any point in this video you go and you think, this guy really looks like he knows what he's doing, that is a lie. I do not know what I'm doing. So I cut this wedge in. That is square because of that welded lip here. I want that to slide on top of that. Just like so. Now, I've probably taken this thing off and on about 100 times, eating this away with the grinder to get it to fit in there perfectly. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna press fit it, which you should never do. But I'm pretty sure it'll work for me right now. It is not hardened steel. Nice. This has to be way shorter, so I'm gonna have to cut this. Okay. Okay, now that'll stay there. So, now I can weld this up. It's nice and flush. And I'm gonna weld that up right now. Okay, so I have the old plate cleaned off. I could clean this pipe off a little bit. Doesn't really move. And I am going to weld that on. Right there. Okay, they're perfectly married. Put my apron on here so that doesn't slide back. And I'm going to weld it. Cool. Let's see. Ta-da! I'm gonna take this off and weld it all right around. Look at it, look at it. A little more. There we go. See? Nice and flat. Okay. next order of business is making dies. That one's gonna go there. And I'm cutting these from a big bar that's about 1.5 foot long, and I don't have a bandsaw, so I'm doing it with cutting discs. I used one just to cut this one through. So I'm gonna do the other one. Then I need to make the doohickeys to keep these dies in. Okay, this is how far we got. Beauty. Now, one of the jobs I need to do is just put a little clip system in here to keep these dies in. And I think next is, my plan is to take out that green button. Because how this system works is, just so that nobody asks me this again. They always ask, why not put this thing up vertically? Here's why. These things are built in with a safety system. It has no tank. The tank part is just a small little cavity that's up in here. You turn this thing upside down and it makes a lot of weird noises. So, and it doesn't want to work that well. So that's why I keep it horizontally. The other thing is too, when these things come out of a factory, nobody there thinks that this is going to get turned into a forge press. So they don't build in any extra tanks or reserve tank, whatever, for this thing to be put vertically. It's a log splitter. You don't want your log splitter to be put up vertically and your stump or your log falls out and falls on top of you. That is why they're designed the way they are. My next plan on this thing is, that's what it looks like. All right. You have a capacitor, you have some morettes, and your switch. This thing does not operate at all with a back and forward function. It only goes in, you gotta leave everything, and then it retracts and goes back. As like this. Pushing the button. Pulling the lever down. Leaving the lever. It cannot go up. So if I leave the button, then it retracts. It's the only way you can do it with this thing. Now in reverse. Push button in, put the lever down. Leave the button. That's max. If I leave the lever now, it's gonna go back. You cannot go back and forth with this unit. They're not made for that function. So, my plan is, I'm gonna take this button out. I'm not wiring in any new buttons or anything. I'm gonna take this one out. I'm gonna extend the wires up to my lever so that I can do everything with one hand. Press the button with my thumb and pull the lever down. That's it. Just extend the wires and cover this up with the wires coming out. That's it. That's what I'm gonna do. Cool. And there's your switch. Okay. I'm just gonna extend these wires and build a lever, I guess. Right. So, what I did was, these two wires, cut them and extended them. Here they are. They go to the switch. I did the same with the two red wires. Cut them, extended them, and put them in there. Okay, plug it in. Button in. There it is. Now, will it work? Let's see. Ta-da! All I did was put a plate on here and just put the button back on. There we go. No exposed wires. Nothing that can change my hairstyle. Right, so before we start with all the fun stuff, squishing metal and so on, when you do something like this, make sure you use the same gauge wires that the machine has, or maybe a little thicker. Never go thinner. Also, don't work on this thing when it's plugged in, make sure it's plugged out, that's an obvious thing. And yeah, oh, ready rod I used. I dipped it in ferric chloride to take the zinc off. Do not weld on this stuff. Welding zinc gives you, it's very toxic when it burns, like a yellow crap that comes off of it. It's extremely poisonous for you. Don't inhale that, and don't throw it in the fire, don't burn it off. Ferric chloride works pretty good, or muriatic acid. Just chuck it in there, or long term just use some vinegar. Throw it in vinegar and leave it for a night or two. That works too. And other than that, this is still a log splitter. I just take this part off, leave that on, and I can still split logs with it, which is pretty nice. Finally have a one-hand function. And I put this guard back on because if I rest my billet of Damascus on, I can actually slide on top of that. But yeah. These are just magnets, just to keep that thing from falling out. But let's get to squishing some steel. This thing does like a nice bright orange and welding heat. Okay. So as you can see, it still squishes beautifully. Okay, let's try a piece of leaf spring. Nice bright orange heat. Oh. Oh, that's nice. Oh yeah. Yep. Look at that. That is sweet. Yes. Yes. Guess who's gonna make a sword? Okay, again. Let's do that again. Oh, that is so nice. Look at that. Oh, and it's leaf spring. This is some tough stuff. Okay. We all know it can do a billet of Damascus. So, yeah. I think this is a big success. Just gave this a quick paint job. Nice black, manly industrial color. You know? Because this is a man's tool. I mean, look how nice that is. I don't know what the heck I was thinking spraying my sander purple, but that's nice. Okay, I'll bring you back when I assemble everything and talk a bit about it. Ta-da! Beautiful paint job. Paid a guy lots of money to do this custom paint job for me. Figured out a way to do the dies. I welded on 2 pieces of flat bar, drilled 1/8" holes through the flat bar and into my dies. So that comes out, goes back in, and put the pin back. Ow! Put the pin back. So easy. Next set of dies are going to be the draw out dies, or drawing out dies. Nice little rounded edge. And then I want to do a set of dies that has a square in them. And I'm going to bring the ram up to there, or the ram down to here, and drill 1/2-inch hole, 1/4 and 1/8 hole. So I can actually do, you know, handles for, what do you call it, tongs and such. So that'll work too. Another thing is, as you saw, this thing is perfectly suited for small to medium type jobs. If you have problems in your hands and your elbow with hammering and stuff, this is something that'll help you out a lot. It'll bring your workload down by like 60-70%. Another thing is, everything I used in this build I had laying around. I didn't buy anything. And yeah, safety feature on this was, the reason why it does not have a back and forth function is because it's a log splitter. They don't want you to be able to use one hand and stick your hand in here with a log and freaking crush your hand or whatever. I'm not going to do a vertical press because it does not function that way. It has a cutoff switch and it kind of runs out dry. It makes weird noises when you turn this thing up. So it also makes sense because they don't want you to put a log in here and have this thing vertically upright and then the log falls out, hits you on your foot or your face or whatever. So it's just safety functions with this machine. This machine ran me about $200 back then, and I haven't spent any money yet on this since then. So yeah, I hope you guys like what I've done to this thing, and I'm honestly super impressed. It works way better than it did before with the proof of concept I had. And yeah, let's wait for many more projects to come. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hit the like and subscribe and share it on your pages. If you know someone that needs something like this, share it to them. Show them what you can do with a little log splitter. So hope you guys have a good night. I'm off to bed. Have yourself a good one. See ya.